Good evening, everybody. A very warm welcome to all of you. It's really delightful that we have with us Venerable Thubten Kalden, who is going to give us a teaching on the Buddhist heart advice for a happy life. You know, I just read in the papers recently where China has banned unhappiness. Did you read about it? Yes. Can you believe it? You know, they are trying to say there is this total surveillance where you cannot post anything on the social media which is pessimistic or which, pulls you down. So it is like banning unhappiness. And I said, my Lord, what a state, imagine what the state can do to the people of a country. I thought that was really kind of like, I don't know if you've read George Orwell's novel.
Yes.
So it's something, huh? Something like that, yeah. So just a brief introduction, if you don't mind, sir.
About me. I introduce you.
No.
That's most important.
No.
She's most important.
No.
Yes.
No. So Venerable Thubten Kalden is a Brazilian monk dedicated to making ancient Buddhist wisdom practical for the modern world. Having spent over 10 years in exclusive service, study and practice, including intensive courses and retreats, he shares the Dharma through lectures and guided meditations across the globe. Venerable Kalden's unique background as a former lawyer and certified public accountant with an MBA in corporate finance allows him to effectively bridge traditional teachings with contemporary challenges. He draws on the diverse experience to offer the Dharma to cultivate genuine inner peace, compassion, and lasting happiness. Especially since, he pays great heed to the advice given by our spiritual director, Venerable Namazopa Rinpoche. So we welcome you once again, and we are very grateful that you accepted our invitation. Thank you. May I now request you to teach?
I think first thing is that to say that there's a big word over there saying effectively teaching the Dharma. That's definitely not my case, not effective at all. But I'm actually quite happy to be here. This center is such an important center. It's been going on for more than 40 years or something like this. So it's a place that has been, so important for the FPMT and for the Dharma, and especially in a place like where all the Buddhist teachings started, India. It's where it started. So it's so important for us to have that. But, that happened 2,600 years ago. So we need to also start, bringing Dharma to the 21st century. So that is why it's so important that we continue studying the teachings, but especially really bringing, that transformation within ourselves. Yeah? Good. Can you hear me well? Yes? People in the back over there? The tall people over there? Yes? Okay. So that is why it's important that we really try to keep learning, from these incredible preserved teachings from more than 2,500 years ago. But actually, if we just keep them preserved, to really preserve them, we need to transform our minds. We need to use them to transform our minds, right? We always say in Buddhism that there is what we call the two types of lineages. The preservation lineage of the teachings, that you told by, one teacher to the other, preserving that purity. But the most important lineage that we can preserve is what we call the preservation of the realizations, right? So it means that everything that we're going to hear, everything that we're going to discuss here, everything that we're going to, think about it has to be to transform our minds. Otherwise, it's just another knowledge that we are accumulating in our minds and not using, And actually, Dharma and Buddhism has the power to transform our lives into a happy life and a life free from suffering. So, but if I just come here, you guys come and then just listen to this blah, 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 especially from this monk here that doesn't know anything. So please don't believe in anything I say, okay? That's first tip of the day, don't believe in anything I say. Just really try to use whatever I say as an analysis, investigate, check what I'm saying, if it actually makes sense. And not only makes sense, but how you can use, as His Holiness says, to become a better human being. That's the goal, right? Because if we are not actually developing our minds to become better human beings, then we are not actually practicing Dharma, because that's the goal of Dharma. The goal of Dharma, it is to make sure, Buddhism is to develop our minds so we can become happier, we can become free from suffering, but not only that, but we can share that, with others. And let's face it, that's what the world desperately needs right now. The world that we are living in, it's a funny times, right? Funny times. Many different things happening, and a lot of distress, a lot of uncertainties. So we need to really start to look into what we can do to develop that. So what we always start saying in Buddhism is that we need to check our minds. The mind in Buddhism is the main kind of like tool that we're going to use. And we don't talk so much, we don't think so much about the mind. Even though today and this week or this month, I think, is what we call the mental health, month. Normally we are just talking about when we have a problem, right? Now we have a problem, we are trying to look for a solution. That's not very a Buddhist point of view. The Buddhism doesn't work like that. Actually, we try to create the causes for problems not to happen. That, I think, is more effective, right? My parents are doctors, so they always say, instead of just like treating the symptom, it's better to treat the cause, right? So that is exactly what Buddhism is about. We try to treat the cause of the problem, so we don't need to be caught up in treating the symptoms of our problems, right? So we need to then start developing an understanding of the mind, of what is the mind, and then it's important that we talk about the mind in everything that we do, because when we talk about the mind, even that word already has a problem in English, right? What do you understand when we talk about mind? Let's see. What do you guys think is the mind? Brain is the mind? Consciousness. But then is consciousness what? Is like the thinking only? Or what else? What else is the consciousness? Huh? Awareness. We have here a good Buddhist, she. But we don't think about it, right? We just go along with our minds, with our consciousness, but not really asking ourselves, what is that, And especially more important is, what is in control of the mind, right? How the mind is operating. So that's why I like to call Buddhism as a science of the mind. If you understand the mechanics of how it works, you can either go towards suffering or go towards happiness. So then you have to choose. It doesn't depend on, external people, external things to help us, because we need to develop that. That's what the Buddha said, actually. The Buddha said, I can show you the way, but I cannot, do the job for you. So I always say that actually the Buddhist path is a self-responsibility type of path. So if you came and you thought that coming here, you're gonna, find happiness forever and all of that, you can take your money back, okay, from Nico over there, yes, because that here is not happening, okay? We can't, because it's a development. It's something that we're gonna cultivate, right? So for that, we need to understand how the mind actually works. And if you look into the mind, actually, before we look into the mind, it's easier to look into our actions, what we speak, what we do with our bodies, right? Just start looking for it, like how we act, especially when you're driving, or you are in a car or in a tuk-tuk in Delhi. Easy to see how you're kind of like you're behaving, right? Becoming angry, something like this, right? So you start to see that the bodies start to change, and then we say something, or when we are in an argument with someone, we speak in a certain way. Where does it come from? right? Actually, Buddhism is going to say that all our actions of body and speech come first from the mind. So then we need to actually check it out, what is happening in our minds. And if we don't check it out, then it's easy to see how spontaneously, as I like to say, spontaneously, without any effort, some emotions come up, right? We are driving, someone cuts in front of us, horn, spontaneously anger, frustration comes up, isn't it? It's not that we have that control, it's just there. Or we see that piece of like nice chocolate, or we have a nice pakora, or nice delicious food, immediately attachment goes, and I need this to be happy, and now new iPhone 27 or whatever iPhone is there we are now, 17, then it comes and it's like, I need this to be happy, right? Or then we open the phone and then we over there, brain rotting, you know that expression? On Instagram, there's like, new, more, like that, right? So no control. Who is controlling this? The minds of attachment, anger, jealousy, pride, all of that, without any effort, right? So that means that if we are not paying attention to our mind, what is happening is that those mental states are controlling us, and therefore are controlling our actions and our speech. So, wait a minute. Why is that happening, right? Why is that actually happening in that way? Because we are crazy? No, not like that. Because we're stupid? Not like that as well. Actually, this is coming because everything that we do, from the moment we wake up until we go to sleep, is based on one, or let's say a twofold wish. Everything that we do, from the moment we are born until we go to die, is based on our wish to be happy and to not suffer. That, I think that, you're all like this, oh yeah, that makes sense. But actually realizing that, it's quite a piece of work. Because we don't think like this. We actually don't realize that what we are doing and the reason why we are motivating, the motivation for why we are doing things is because of that wish to be happy and not suffer, right? That is our basic wish. Everything that we do. Nobody woke up today and say, I hope my life is horrible, I hope there's big traffic jam and everything goes wrong and all of that. No, nobody works like this, right? Let's face it. Even the most depressed person, the person who's very sad and all of that, even them, they don't think like this. But they think in a way that is going to bring them happiness, even what it is. Even this person who commits suicide, they are thinking that ending their lives is going to bring them happiness and freedom from suffering. So everything that we are doing is based on that wish. But what type of happiness we are looking for? We are just looking for a brain rotting type of happiness? Not that. That we are professionals, right? Into finding, and guess what? Not really giving us the happiness, right? It's not. Just face it. Otherwise you'll not be here. If you found happiness, you wouldn't be here, Listen to this crazy monk talking blah, 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 right? So actually it's because you've tried to achieve that happiness and you haven't found it. Because what we actually want, the truth of what we really want when we talk about being happy, is that we want a type of lasting, peaceful, permanent happiness. One that doesn't go away, right? One that doesn't depend on the nice chocolate cake, or the good weather, or that person saying they love us, or the boss saying we are good employees, or mom and dad saying we are good boy, good girl. Not like this. That's not the type of happiness we are actually looking for, right? We are looking for that stability, that peace of mind, and that contentment that comes from a mind that is free, a mind that is open, that is just absolutely vast, that everything can occur. Yeah? As the type, I always try to say that what we are trying to look is that feeling of like, I don't need anything anymore, right? which normally we get when we have the new iPhone and it lasts for 3 minutes, right? Oh, I got what I wanted. And then next thing comes up, and then we're like, I need something else, I need this, I need that, isn't it, right? It's like we can't. So why is that? Because we are addicted to looking for that happiness in what? Temporary sensory pleasures. That's what we are doing. We are constant inputting sensory pleasures in our mind, in our hearing. You know, you go to metro or you go to any place, everybody's listening to something, isn't it? All the time. All the time we are stimulating ourselves with sensory pleasures, right? Listening to things, smelling things, tasting things, looking at things, brain rotting, all of that. Because we believe that these temporary sensory pleasures are going to bring us that lasting happiness. Guess what? I think, I don't know you, but my life, I learned it's not there. You know? That's why when I was lawyer in past life, I was lawyer, accountant, and then you start to work, and you start to get some money and all of that, and you start to see, wow, then I'm going to find happiness, right? And then here, dissatisfaction more. Because now it's not only the iPhone 5. Now I need a bigger car, bigger house, bigger this, all is that. No, there's no stopping. And think about it. We are coming to a sense in the world that we're going to have the first person that is going to accumulate $1 trillion. Trillion. I don't even know how many zeros in $1 trillion, right? So there's no stop for this craving. It's like drinking salty water. You know what I mean? Yes, you drink salty water, you think you're going to be not thirsty anymore, but you continue. Oh, no, I need more water. I need more. There's no stop. Because, why there's no stopping? Because we are thinking that these temporary sensory pleasures will give us long-lasting happiness. So we are putting ourselves to disaster. Yeah, we're putting ourselves to dissatisfaction. So we are always dissatisfied. There's always something missing. There's always, when I have that, or if I had that. Do you understand? Do you recognize that? Like a small talk that we do ourselves. Yeah, it's just because I didn't find the right person. I didn't find this. I didn't do that. When I do this, when I get there, right? So we are constantly in the future thinking that the future is going to be better, brighter for ourselves. And guess what? Future comes, and then something else comes up as a need, as a source of happiness. So then we suffer again. So that dissatisfaction, that constant feeling that we are not being able to fulfill our own happiness, that is what the Buddha called dukkha in Sanskrit. Nowadays it's translated many times as suffering. I don't like that. Because suffering, normally we think about Gaza war or Ukraine or, like that type of like suffering. But actually, we are all dissatisfied. Even the richest person, even Elon Musk is dissatisfied with his life, right? So that dissatisfaction that is constantly making us, craving for those temporary sensory pleasures, it's what is keeping us suffering. So what we want, what we wake up this morning, what we do in our lives, is to get rid of that. We don't want that. We don't want to feel that, right? So now we need to observe if the way we are trying to achieve that is actually going in a good direction. And, I have this incredible power of insulting everybody when I give talks, so I'm going to start now. So I'm just saying that we should have a look. Yes, exactly. We're gonna do our questions and answers. So what we do is that if we look into the way we are looking to achieve that, maybe we are not succeeding. Let's face it. Let's be honest, right? We are not really succeeding in avoiding that dukkha, that dissatisfaction. And we are not really doing a good job in finding happiness, right? So that is not because we are stupid, as I said. No, it's not because of that. Please, don't think about that. Don't think that you are not good enough. Don't think that you need to change yourself, in the way of like, I need to be more beautiful, smarter, or fit, or whatever. Because that's how we normally do, right? And especially now with this crazy thing called Instagram, TikTok, we compare ourselves with those illusion-like people and life, and we think that we are always falling behind. Yes? We are always looking into something that, but I am not beautiful enough, but I'm not like this, I'm not, fit and not happy and not all of that enough. Well, guess what? That's an illusion, right? So then that sense, that lack of a good sense of esteem, of looking into yourself and say, actually, I'm doing a very good job as well. I'm doing nice things. So that sense needs to come from understanding our own potential for change. And that is sometimes hard. We are not very good friends with ourselves. We are actually our worst kind of like a critical, critics. We are always with the whip, always say, I'm not good enough, I didn't do this, I have to be, this, I have to, I should, I need, those kind of like very tight mental as I like to say, right? We are all the time thinking, I have to, I should, I want, I need, instead of really developing that wish of, okay, looking into ourselves and I can change, I can develop, I can do that, I can cultivate, right? Because we are stuck in those mental states and those ideas on how to find happiness and how not to suffer, believing that they are the only way. It's like we are stuck right now with the clouds in the sky, right? That's what it is. We believe that the sky is always dark and, stormy and all of that, but we forget. We forget that behind it, there's always this vast mind, that purity, that light of the sun shining to everything and everybody. We forget about that. So that means that we forget that the way our minds work is by observing that things come, they stay a little bit, and then they go, right? What we do, we grasp to problems, and we believe that they are real, concrete, and we stay with them again and again and again. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Are we communicating? Yes? Okay, very good. Because if we stay stuck in those negative emotions, in those thoughts and ideas, then we're going to believe that they're never going to be, going away. That we don't have a choice. As I like to say, that roller coaster of emotions. We are, wake up in a certain way, we go up and then we go down and we go up and then we go down and then we go up and down. Do you recognize that? Yes? On a daily basis, but also on a weekly, monthly, year, right? So these ups and downs, they come because we are absolutely not aware of our intention. And especially where we're going to put our intention to find that happiness and to find, freedom from our suffering. We put our minds into these emotions, these negative emotions, into this craving attachment as a source of happiness. So therefore, our minds go up and down because I need then, the outside object. I need the chocolate cake. I need that person. I need, the new iPhone in order to be happy. And guess what? They break. They leave you. The food finishes. So they are temporary by nature. Therefore, they can never give us lasting, peaceful happiness. Does it make sense? So if we are constantly craving and chasing those things, we are putting ourselves into disaster. So when we are not aware of our intention, we are not aware on how we are achieving our wish for happiness and suffering, as I like to say, we just slide into these habits. And we are just constantly, being completely controlled by these mental states, right? We're just following along. The mind, the spontaneous mind of anger, when someone does something, call you fat or not nice or, boring or ugly, then spontaneous something. The boss comes and says something to you, and then spontaneous anger arises, right? So because we are not paying attention to our minds, to the intention of our minds, so we are just following along what is going on, with the way we are trying to find happiness and how we are trying to find freedom from suffering. So what we need to start looking into is how to develop and fulfill that intention of happiness and how to develop freedom from suffering. So then we need to really look into the causes of suffering, right? So the causes of suffering, as the Buddha was saying, is especially those negative emotions that come up in our mind. So if you think about it, what it means a negative emotion, a disturbing emotion. This is a better translation than negative. Disturbing emotion. Why they are called disturbing emotion? Any idea? Dun, 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 dun.
Because you lose your peace of mind.
Because we lose our peace of mind, they disturb ourselves. And we can first look into the body, right? It's always a good idea to start and see. When you are angry, just try to check your body, right? Or if you don't know if you're getting angry, just check your body and you're going to see yourself a little bit tight, the heart is a little bit, sometimes we, with the jaw a little bit, or sometimes we are like this, sometimes we are kind of like stiff and strict with ourselves, right? So you can see, sometimes we have a pressure over here in the heart. So the body is sending us signs that something is not well, right? Actually, what is happening is cortisol is in your body, in your blood, and it's all there pumping. So we need to then start checking what is happening with the mind. And the mind is disturbed, we no more in our peace of mind, right? Why? Because we believe, when we get angry, that we need that thing to be happy. We need the iPhone 17 to be happy. And then when we don't have it, we get angry, right? Anger is a mental state that gets disturbed for not having what it wants or having what it doesn't want, right? When we had to deal with like that not so nice person that we have in our lives, and then we start to get frustrated, irritated already. Just listening their names, we already like, need to deal with this person, right? So that is already a mind that is disturbed. And the real reason it is disturbed is because we are projecting something into that situation. So the two aspects of a disturbing emotion is, first, disturbs the peace of mind. And second, it's a misconception, a projection of reality. The science right now is starting to study about these negative emotions. And anger, when we are under the influence of anger, we are actually projecting 90% of what we are experiencing. It means that what we are seeing is not really like that. What does it mean that? Well, you have a friend, your partner, a family member, and they do something, to you that you don't like it. In that moment, they appear to you as 90% negative. It means you forgot about all of the nice things they've done to you, all of the kindness, all of the love, all of the all of the friendship that you have. But in that moment, they are appearing extremely negative, right? So we are projecting that. And then we come to our friends and we say, you see what they did to me? They're a very bad person, right? And then the friend says, if they are a good friend, well, maybe they are not that bad, right? Maybe they did something, but they are not always like this. And then we start to really pay attention that we are the ones projecting those negative aspects into the person, right? We are the ones projecting that way. And how we can prove if that is true or not? We can check if we see that person always like this. That's a good way to check, right? Check. Is this person always like that? always a difficult person, always a, like, not so nice person, or is just now? Right? You talk to yourself. You say, wait a minute, is this person really like this? Is this really the situation? So you can ask yourself, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe they are not like that. Or you can ask someone else to see, right? Because actually that person is nice, kind, and someone, even their mom, loves them. So they are not like that. Actually, you...
They are. They're always not kind.
They're always not kind. Yeah, that is normally what we believe. So we need to always think, in a broader way, and really think that normally when we say someone is not kind, is because is what I was going through, which is it's always someone judging. No, there's always someone judging if they are nice or not nice. Who is the judge normally of that? Yes, me. Yes, right? There's me. So that is very important to understand. That actually the judge of that is that very strong sense of me, myself, and I. And I am the judge if that person is a good person or is a bad person. Right? So we need to really start paying attention. That is normally us checking, right? If that person is nice or is good towards me. So it's a very, very narrow view about that person. So if that person is nice, kind, do what I want, they are my friends, right? They are nice to me. If not, if they are kind of like saying things, if they don't actually get what I want, if they are not really helping me to get what I want, they're my enemies. I don't want to see them, right? And then there's these just people around living their lives and just doing what I need. I go to the supermarket, there's someone there. I take a taxi, there's someone there, but I don't care about them, right? It's just what I want. If they're doing what I want, then it's okay. If they don't, then I don't care, right? That's how we live life. We live life with these divisions of someone helping me to get my objects of attachment, getting what I want, friend, good friend, best friend, no? That's what we do. Then someone starts to be a little bit, and then starts to say, but you didn't do this, criticize you or say something, then immediately starts to transform that person. Starts to say, oh no, but they used to be my friend, they used to be kind, and then they become enemy. Someone that you get aversion, get out of here, I want very far from this. That's all we are, isn't it? Sorry to say, but like babies, If you give me the play, you give you the toy, you play with me, then my friend, oh, very nice. If not, bad, like that. That's what we do. We still keep doing it, even when we are adults, right? We are keeping with these two mental states of attachment and aversion as source of happiness, right? So if we are doing that, if we are following these mental states, as we were saying, these are the main causes for our suffering, for our dissatisfaction. Because we are going to be playing those kind of like mental ideas in our minds again and again and again. Because the more the anger we become, the more habituated the mind gets. Because that is another aspect of the nature of our minds. It's a habitual thing, So it means the more I do something, the more I become used to do it. So the more I react in an angry way towards someone that says, I am not nice or you're not a nice person, the more anger I develop within myself. So then we get stuck in that habitual patterns. We have some older people here tonight. So you all know that you guys have been into that feeling of, oh, that is happening again with me? You understand that? That feeling of like a situation happening and again and again and again and again, That cycle of like, again. Even the situation is different, person is different, everything outside looks different, but that feeling of dissatisfaction is the same, right? So that is why habitual tendencies. By following those negative mental states as source of happiness, as source of how to be free from suffering, I habituate my mind into this. So I just keep going, circling again and again and again. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Are we communicating? Yes. Please do ask questions and stop me, okay? Save me here, okay? You guys are here to save me, okay? So those habitual patterns just goes increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing. So we just keep going in our lives, reacting. And that is the spontaneous aspect, right? As I said, why do I get angry when something happens? Because spontaneously I habituated my mind to react in that way. Nothing else. It's not because we are bad people, because we cannot be kind, loving. It's not because of that. It's a habit. That's why I like to say of the science of the mind. Because if you start to understand it, you take out all the Brazilian drama, you know? That Brazilian drama of like, you know, making things up and say, oh, I'm a bad person, I'm good, I'm bad, like this, right? You just start to say and see, oh, I'm acting and responding in that way because of habits. And therefore, the nature of habits is they are changeable. We can change them. If we understand things in this way, then we start to develop that inner trust, right? To be able to change. Yes, please.
How do you change that habit?
So that's what we're going to talk now. You are very good. You're following that. So that's what it means.
I have a question.
Yes.
Why is it Brazilian?
Because Brazilian dramas, we are very good in drama, okay? You can be Indian drama as well, you know, Bollywood drama, you know? I like a very good movie. I shouldn't be watching that movie, but I watched it when I became it's called Bahubali, right? Bahubali is like beautiful, so nice. It's like, but you know, like drama, it's like, this and that, and so like this, you know? So like, you can say Bollywood drama as well, okay? But Brazilian drama is very famous for Brazilian soap opera. Everything's like this, you know, it's like this, always like this. So that's what we created in ourselves. We create this kind of like inside of ourselves, this big drama, because we don't think of the science of the mind, right? We don't think about just understanding the mechanics of the mind. So the mechanics of the mind is understanding that why we keep following those negative habits is because we don't see them as negative. We believe that they are the cause for our happiness, actually, right? Let's face it, I truly believe that having the object of my attachment is happiness. I believe in that. I believe that having an iPhone 17 is going to bring me happiness, right? I believe in that. And I believe, as I was talking about anger one day in a class in the US, in America, and then I was talking about how anger is a negative mental state. Why? Because it disturbs our peace of mind, it's bothering our body, our minds are shaking and all of that. And she said, and one person said, but it feels so good to be angry sometimes, you know? And I said, yes, this is exactly the problem. We truly believe that revenge, an eye for an eye, we say, right? That is happiness. That's what we believe, right? So if we believe in that, then we don't want to change. So the first thing we need to actually start doing is paying attention of what's going on in our minds, realizing it. So then we need to realize, it is a positive emotion or is a negative emotion that is there, a disturbing emotion. So the first thing, we look for those kind of like aspects. Is disturbing in what way? Well, I'm shaky, my body, No, you check yourself, right? Your own body. Then you start to see your mind. Is it peaceful? Are you, reacting, talking to people, in a more calm, peaceful way? No way. You're totally, even when we are attached, no? Think about a butterfly stomach. We say when we are in love, we have butterflies in the stomach. I always think this is very disturbing, having butterflies in the stomach. Because we are like this, no? Even when we are in love, as we say, we are like disturbed. It's not a peaceful mind. You're not like, okay, this person is here. Oh, what this person is going to think of me. Oh, maybe they're going to leave me. Oh, but I love them so much. I want them to love me. Like that, right? Maniac mind, right? So then we need to start to really checking those mental states and seeing that they are disturbing our peace of mind. So then, once we start to acknowledge their negative nature and how they're going to make us, right? Especially what we need to start looking is how they're going to make us act. Because when we are under the influence of anger, what do? We say things that we normally regret. We spit all the dirt out of our minds, I hope that we can control a little bit our body so we don't punch anyone in the face, But we can even take a gun, and kill someone, isn't it? Everything is out of anger, out of this disturbed mental state. So that is what we need to start acknowledging, that these mental states are not our friends. As Lama Zopa Rinpoche, our teacher, used to say, it's fooling us, cheating us. That's what they are doing. So we need to start seeing it for what it is. It's a disturbed emotion and it's not our friend. That is the only way for us to start letting them go and not following them. Right? Habitual patterns doesn't mean kind of like destiny, fate, right? Or when we call karma. It's not fate. It's not that we don't have any option, right? Actually, we do have the choice. Are we just going to choose that habitual tendency? An eye for an eye, getting angry, being, responding, speaking, like the speech being very bad towards others? Or we're going to check and say, oh, this doesn't help me. This doesn't help me to be happy. This doesn't really achieve what I want, which is happiness and freedom from suffering. So now that I understand that it's negative, now that I see that this is controlling and disturbing me, I can let it go. I always say, people talk so much about letting it go, and I say, how can you let it go if you don't grasp first what you have it? If you don't know what you have it, you can't let it go, right? I can't let it go this if I don't have that in my hand, right? So that is a very important aspect that normally I like to talk about, because we understand when we talk about letting go or not following that pattern, that habit, as suppression. I'm just going to suppress that. No, I'm not feeling it. No. Me? Anger? No. I have people that said to me, I don't feel anger anymore. Okay, because we are not recognizing it, because we are judging ourselves that if we actually feel anger, we are bad people, and especially sometimes when we become Buddhists or we become monks and nuns, we put like this, we put the I am spiritual and compassionate, and I don't feel anger anymore. Opposite, right? Lama Yeshe used to say, if you think you're gonna kind of like put these robes, shave your head, and then all problems gonna go away, you're completely going for a disaster, because the opposite. The more you try to actually work with your mind, the harder these emotions become, right? They're gonna come up, it's gonna be interesting, but if you have those tools, you're okay. You don't worry about it. Yeah, they can come. New iPhone, chocolate cake, what is good dessert here in India?
Kheer.
Huh?
Kheer.
Kheer. Rice pudding, okay, no attachment for rice pudding, like this. So, because we have that. And the better, so habit works for negative habits, but also positive habits, right? Habit is just a mechanics. So the more I encourage, the more I change my mind, and I let it go of the negative ones, and the more I put a positive mental state, right? Then the easier it becomes. So the way to change the habits, the first thing is to acknowledge what's going on in our minds, recognizing that as negative, and then exchanging the reaction, the habit, for a positive one. Yeah? So that is what we actually can do. But then comes a other problem, which is the positive actions. If we think that we don't have positive actions, that we are not nice people, how can we actually develop positive actions? How can I develop love, compassion, kindness, patience if I don't believe I am like that? Or I go to the extreme. I'm the powerful one, I'm the best, arrogance, pride, right? Then how can we actually develop? So what we need to start, in order to develop those positive mental states, we need to go back to our intention, wanting to be happy and not suffer. How come? Well, if we start to realize that we want to be happy and we don't want to suffer, that everything that we do is based on that intention to find this lasting happiness, and everything that we do is based on that intention to not be dissatisfied. But right now, as we talked about, we are confused on how to find it, right? Because we are following our negative tendencies, the negative mental states, right? It means that if we are working like this, every single other person is acting exactly the same. We are all exactly the same in wanting to be happy and not wanting to suffer. And when I say all, I mean all human beings, but all the dogs in Delhi, all the mosquitoes, the flies, everybody. Then becomes interesting. Because if they are acting with that wish of wanting to be happy and not suffer, when we see someone acting in an angry way, and we understand that, oh, they're acting in this way towards myself, towards others, not because they're crazy, not because they're stupid, it's because they are believing that acting in that way is going to bring them happiness and not suffer.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Here, if you look at all the revolutionaries or the student movements, they use anger as a method to bring about change in society.
Yes.
So they think,
Yes.
it has a positive role.
Yes. That is the thing, because we are thinking that in the way that we are acting towards from anger has that, it's a very powerful energy, right? As Ranuka was saying, it creates that strong energy of change. But what Buddhism is going to say, how about we first try to change ourselves, right? To really use that energy to develop a positive mental state and decrease our negative mental states, so when we actually act, we don't act from that anger. We act from a peaceful, kind, loving, and wise mind. So that is much more efficient. Think about Gandhi, right?
Bhagat Singh.
Huh?
Bhagat Singh Premi.
Yes, right? So he was doing the same thing, but from a peaceful mindset. Look at His Holiness.
But many other people gave up their lives, it was not only Gandhi.
Yes, absolutely. So we can actually use those positive mental states, to act towards transformation and change. But if we don't have that, if we're still believing that the outside is the source of the, the happiness and the source of the anger and the suffering, then, we are going towards disaster. So to develop those kind of compassionate, kind, loving mental states, we need to open our hearts towards others. We need to include others. Otherwise, our love, compassion, and kindness and patience is limited and conditional. Again, if you're my friend, I am nice to you. I'm compassionate, kind to you. If you're not my friend, then I don't care. That is not really kind of effective. So actually, what we think is going to bring us happiness is just thinking about my own happiness and my own way of being free from suffering. And that creates more suffering and more unhappiness. So when we start to open our hearts and understand that we are exactly the same in wanting to be happy and not suffer, and the happiness of others is as important as my own happiness, as important as means we also need to think about ourselves, right? Because if we stop about ourselves, we start to do what? Suppressing, and we start, no, I should just suffer, and I need to suffer, and I need to, no, then doesn't happen, right? Then life becomes horrible. And then you don't have the energy to actually do something to change. So we need to start seeing, one of my teachers, he used to say, now we think 100% of the time about me, myself, and I, right? So we just start 99.99% of the time thinking, that's already better, And we go from there, slowly adding and thinking about others. We start with our friends, with our families, and then we go, oh, you see someone on the street, someone over there, and then you just try, right? To help them. But helping them is a very important way. Helping them doesn't only mean giving food, giving medicine, giving that. No, it's not only this. We want to help them to be free from their suffering. We want them to be happy in their mind. So for that, we need to develop those tools within ourselves. We need to be free from suffering. We need to be free from our negative emotions. How can we teach someone how to swim if we don't know how to swim? All right? It's a bit of a, sorry, but not possible. So if we are not free from our own suffering, it's going to be, if we cannot control our minds, if we cannot let it go of our anger, how can we help others? Did I answer your question about how to train? Yes? Okay, good. So we are communicating. Anyone has a question? Yes.
So when you say that we need to help others,
yes,
and also open our heart to others,
yes,
but despite all of that, once we open our hearts to others, but still that sort of resentment or some sort of negative emotion comes from outside. How do we address that despite opening our hearts?
Why does it come, resentment?
There could be multiple reasons for that.
So give me one, so we can debate.
Lack of communication.
Okay. So why lack of communication brings resentment to you? Yes, go.
Lack of care for everyone.
Yes. So who is not being cared? Who should be cared and didn't got cared? Kind. Someone that needs to be, compassionate and, I helped and I've been so kind and I was so nice and people didn't, acknowledge, didn't even say thank you. Horrible people, right? So that's why I talk about intention. Because when we actually start to see these ideas of helping and being kind is normally Instagram kindness, is for receiving likes and receiving, acknowledgement, right? So we need to be careful because really some people ask me, wow, how to not feel overwhelmed with all of this, or, people don't thank me when I do it and all of that. And I say, well, it's because we are not actually checking our intention. If we are doing it in order to receive something from it, right? Externally, like a thank you, like a acknowledgement, like, how do you say, someone saying nice words, or for us to have a good reputation, then it's already disaster, right? We're still believing that something out there is going to give us that. And that having that word of like, thank you, is going to bring us happiness. Right? That's what we're doing. So that's what we need to start changing, right? That understanding that actually, if I do it or don't do it, is not because I want to receive that. It's because I believe that this is going to help those people. And when we start to do it, then it doesn't matter if they thank you or not, right? Because it's the intention. In Buddhism, we say that the intention is what is gonna make something positive or negative. The intention, not the result. And we are very result goal oriented, and we are very strict with the result. The result needs to be in this way, in that way, in this color, in that shape, and we start to become so obsessed, that it needs to be in this way. And then if it doesn't happen, suffer. We are completely crazy. We have no control. We cannot even control our minds. We want to control other people's response to what we do. Good luck. right? But that's how we act, isn't it? Oh, if I act in this way, if I say this, then people are gonna say this, oh yes, and then I'm gonna do blah, blah. Go crazy, right? And then it doesn't, someone sent something here in that chat. So, it's like we really start to believe that this is the way. And then disaster, and then again suffering. And then what do? We give up. Oh, I'm not gonna help others, I'm not gonna do this, now it's too overwhelming, because we don't think that actually we are doing that for ourselves, right? For actually developing a kind heart. And the more we develop a kind heart towards others, the more we're actually able to really help others, right? And do it without anything. And that's when, having someone and seeing that as possible is so important, Like when you have His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when you have Lama Zopa Rinpoche, Rinpoche had something that was so special that he stayed 24 hours helping others, all the time. He didn't sleep. Rinpoche never lay down, ever. Always sitting, right? Now Nuka knows. Nuka met Rinpoche for like almost 30 years, more. Yes? So so you just see it. Rinpoche would never stop. There's a very nice story that Lama Zopa Rinpoche was with his assistant long time ago, maybe 30, 40 years ago in Nepal. It was very like in the middle of nowhere. And they were going to see someone that Rinpoche wanted to see. And then they arrived and it was a very tiny house in the middle of nowhere in Nepal. And then there's only 2 beds, in the same room. So the assistant, Venerable Roger, and Rinpoche had to like stay in the same room. And knowing that Rinpoche never lies down, Venerable Roger was very kind of like, oh no, but I'm not like Rinpoche, I need to sleep, and I'm gonna have to sleep and Rinpoche is not gonna be there. So he was very kind of like uncomfortable. But at some point at 2 in.the morning, he just like, boom, fell asleep. And then he wakes up and he sees Rinpoche without these donkais, just with with this inner t-shirt full of mosquitoes. And then he said, Rinpoche. And then Rinpoche said, no worry, I'm offering my blood to the mosquitoes. Right? So that is the mind on the ultimate level that we can actually help others. Even offering blood like this. Without feeling bothered, without anything. Just happy that you can offer. That becomes. And that is the difference between a selfish motivation of like, I'm being helpful offering if you say thank you. But I just offer without expecting anything. And the more I offer, the happier I become. Yippee! Very nice. Yes, yes, yes. Like this. Right? That is the power of the mind, the vastness of the mind that it can give. Right? And then we start to stopping with this limited conception of like, I can only help this person. Maybe I can help the entire world. Maybe I can help animals. Maybe I can help people. Maybe I can help everybody. Right? That is the power of the mind. The mind has no limits. We put limits in ourselves. We believe that, oh no, because I can only do this, because I'm like that. No, actually we can do everything. Because if we can do it with one person, if we experience love and compassion, that means we can experience love and compassion all the time. We just need to break those limited and conditional mental states. Does it make sense what I'm saying? Yes? We need to inspire ourselves into see that, right? To see that we have that possibility, right? Because if you think that is our wish, that's what we want. It's not something that Buddha invented. It's not something that was like written. That's what we want. If we look in our lives, everything we do is because we want to be happy and we don't want to suffer. So if we want that, we can achieve that, right? If you want to become doctor, you can become doctor, can't you? Right? So if you want to be happy, you can achieve that. So we just need to really motivate ourselves by seeing that these negative emotions, these wrong views, these patterns, no need anymore. I'm going to let them go. And I'm going to really increase my positive mind and open them more and more, right? Letting go of the selfish motivation, developing an altruistic motivation, and then developing more and more, right? Cutting that conditions, that limitation. Does it make sense?
But others take advantage of you, that they exploit you, they
yes.
Control
yes.
you.
Yeah. But I'm going to talk about... But yes, definitely. But then I'm going to talk about a movement I want to create. It's called Buddhists Against Stupid Compassion. That's what it is. You know, what it means is that actually just being kind and loving is not like that. It has to be with wisdom, with understanding. That's why I said in the beginning that it's just not giving food and all of that. It's actually understanding how we can help others, right? Because, as I said, it's the intention that matters. So even if you need to be strong, even if you need to say no, even if you need to put limits in others, if it's coming from compassion, if it's coming from helping them, doesn't matter. That is the wisdom, right? Because otherwise we believe, as I say, oh, we need to be kind, yes, like doormat, and everybody putting it. There's no help. You're not going to help anyone if you just do it like this. If you think about it, if you see those teachers, they are very strong. They have very strong sense of themselves, positive. They know that they what can achieve, and they're going to do it. And if they have to say to you, let me know if I have to stop talking, okay? Okay. So, because I could just go blah, 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 and then I stop. So, you know, and I have tea. So when I drink tea, I become blah, blah, blah. I didn't have coffee. Huh? Oh, 3 a.m. Yes, because I only have to be at airport at 3 a.m. So it's okay. We have lots of time. So then what happens is the mind really creates that kind of like limitation. And then what happens is that actually we can do it. But it's not about the ending goal, right? So with me, I'm monk now, you know, and people kind of like think, oh, he needs to be kind and all of that. And sometimes Nico knows, I am like, blah, 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 and people like, you know where it comes from. Because sometimes you need to be like that with people. Think about a mother with a child, right? A mother with a child, if he's always like, okay, no, don't do this, you know, don't cross the street, no, the kid's never going to learn. Sometimes you need to say, bah, blah, blah, blah. No? You need to use strong words. And then the kid starts to say, okay, so doing this bad, okay? I don't do that. Then you start to develop that understanding. Because that's what we want. We want to help people understand what is actually negative for them, right? Lama Yeshe used to say, you know, sometimes we think, oh, being kind and patient is just listening. You know, nowadays we have all of this compassionate listening and, you know, very nice. And Lama Yeshe used to say, don't allow people to just be saying blah, 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 and putting that habit in their minds of complaining, of, oh, me, poor me, poor me. No, sometimes you need to cut them and say, oi, what are you doing? You know, stop being the victim and playing the victim and do something about yourself, right? Strong words, but yes, you're helping them. Because you understand, as I was talking to my friend that asked how to undo the bad habits, like that, if you understand that those negative emotions are not good for you, then if you do that for yourself, you want to help others to not do that, right? So then you start to develop your inner wisdom more and more, understanding your mind, and then you help others. So it's not that, oh, only when I completely eliminate my anger, I can help others. No, you start from where you are. And guess what? You're going to make lots of mistakes. Good. Then you learn from them, right? Oh, I thought this way, but I could see that I was still grasping to an idea that this person, you know, should do that. No. Okay, so let it go. And then you do it with the intention, right? You come back again and again and again and again. That's fine. You just continue doing, right? So we don't do it like, oh, I'm bad. You take out the Indian Bollywood drama and then you put habits. Oh, it's just a habit. I just have this pattern. Oh, you know, when people come to me, so many people come to me and say, oh, because I am like this. I've always been like this. And I say, yeah, okay, I understand. Habit. But you can change. Right? So if you just see that you have the power to change, then you start actually believing you can change. And putting the effort, the tools for you to change. Right? So that is the important part, is that we need to understand that we can change. We need to understand that those are just habits. So even changing the language that we speak to ourselves. You know, I am like that. I always say, maybe try to say, I have the tendency or the habit to act in this way, to react in this way. That already starts to give a bit of freedom to say, oh, I have this habit. Now, with my own wisdom, I need to decide, does it help? Is it a good, actually, habit? Does it bring me to more peace, quiet, peaceful, lasting happiness, right? Or it brings me to more negative emotions, more anger and more, So then we start to develop that wisdom. Buddhism is a path of developing your inner wisdom. So I can be here saying all of these nice things, blah, 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 but you need to develop that. It's like watching a cooking show, It's very nice. You see the recipe is amazing, but guess what? You need to make the recipe, right? Yourself. Otherwise, you're not going to taste the nice rice pudding, right? You need to do it. So it's the same here. You guys can be listening to this, but then you need to apply to your mind. Otherwise, it doesn't actually do the trick. Because Buddhism is an experiential understanding. It means that we understand with our minds and then we start to transform it to our own experience. So I like to say that we are the scientist and we are the lab rat, So we are going to actually receive the benefits or not about how we train our minds, right? Let me see, someone say something. Roger, how deliberate conscious change of thoughts change our previous thought patterns, and what is the right way to change thoughts? So the thoughts, they are kind of like how it works in our mind is that the previous thought is going to influence, the next one. And the present one is going to influence the future one, right? It's like a train. It's kind of like coming, It's not that we're just going to kind of like continue with the same thought that we we cannot change, but it's going to influence, right? And what is going to influence these thoughts? The habits, right? Those patterns that we have. So if I have a pattern to see if someone looks at me with these eyes, it's because that person is not liking me, I'm going to bring that, right? You understand? So the patterns of they are influencing the way we are thinking, okay? But then we have the present moment, the thought that is appearing in our mind. So then we need to investigate its nature, right? And say, is it actually creating or seeing, things? Or is just me projecting this, right? It's just me seeing that this person is not liking me. It's like going to Kopan. Kopan is the monastery in Nepal. And then we have sometimes silence, right? And when we are in silence, we are we cannot talk. And then we pass someone and we give a little smile or something like this. And then, and then you be there for 5 days, 7 days. So you're always with those kind of habits of saying a smile to this person and that person. And then one day the person doesn't smile back at you. And you're in silence, so you cannot talk to this person. The mind goes crazy. Goes oh, this person doesn't like me, oh, I'm bad, oh, this, start to create all of this, I always, first time I went to this course, I had a bucket, to do my laundry, and I used to leave the bucket, and then one day, someone took my bucket, right? So I spent 2 days thinking, who these people, who are the ones that took my bucket. And then we were talking about compassion, love, and generosity. And then I said, wow, I'm so selfish, just think about me. I hope that this person is using my bucket and being happy and all that. And then bucket arrives, right? Then I'm happy again, right? So that is the mind that we can completely create distractions for ourselves, right? With even small little things like that. So that means that the thoughts are influencing us, right? So in the moment that we see the thought, as I was seeing the bucket, someone took in my bucket for 2 days, that moment when we start to see, that's why we need to learn about compassion, about possibilities, about all of these positive emotions. So we have different mental states that can help us transform that thought, right? So we don't engage with that thought just believing, oh yes, it's like this. Oh yes, someone took my bucket because they are, bad people, No, we start to say, wait a minute. If someone took it, it's because the person believed that this was, used and all of that. So you start to really, because this person needed, you start to talk to yourself, right? And transform that thought, which is negative, which is creating disturbance, because I was didn't even remember what the people are talking, just focus on the bucket, Completely crazy, right? So then you start to see, this is not helping me. I came all the way to Nepal to think about a bucket, you know? You start to think about that. You really start to think about your mind and say, oh, this is, and then you start to let it go slowly, you know, and say, oh, it's okay. And then you transform putting something positive and say, wow, I wish this person actually can use my bucket. I'm so happy someone can use my bucket to wash their clothes, you know? So then, instead of not suffering, I become happy. All with the power of the mind. Without the bucket, without anything, just the mind. Do you understand? So that is the power of how we can actually change the thoughts, right? So I always like to say that, you know, when we are in our thoughts, we are just seeing this in this way, right? And without knowledge, wisdom, and understanding what we've been talking about this evening, we keep there. And we just believe in this. But then with wisdom, with training, we start to say that, well, maybe it's not like that. So I start to give a bit of space. And I start to see, oh, there's another way of seeing this. Oh, this person is not like that. Oh, like this. Guess what? You know, there's another way. So that is the power that we have, right? We can actually transform a thought and move and see it from different points of view to either make it go away or transform it into a positive one. Does it make sense? Yes? Does it help what I'm saying? Because it needs to be helpful, okay? Because otherwise it's just blah, 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 which is normally what it is. But, you know, that is the power of the thought transformation. So Radvir said, thank you. Okay, so maybe I said something nice. Okay, so anyone has any questions? Yes.
Sometimes I feel like I'm very addicted to the chaos that exists in my life. So I'll tell you, like, I work in a very demanding work environment. So, long work hours, arguments, and
Yes.
competition. So even when the project ends, I feel like I cannot relax.
Yes.
I'm still in that zone.
Yes.
So I'm gone on a holiday, I'm thinking about arguments.
Yes.
As if my life is empty.
Yes.
I want to run away from those, but still I feel okay. I continuously need those approvals, those promotions.
Yes.
But they are kind of draining in a way, but still as if I cannot run away from them.
Yes. So I don't know if people online could hear her. No? So she was saying about that she kind of like works in demanding jobs and all of that, and that's very tiring, but at the same time she needs that, right? Like she can't let it go. So she goes into like places, you know, like a vacation and all of that, but she keeps thinking about that, right? She keeps on thinking that. Yeah, because, you know, the situation is that when we don't have tools to deal with our dissatisfaction, we create the most crazy ways of thinking that we can deal with them. Like thinking about the bucket, right? Like that's what it was. But you even think that, you know, the stress, the fast life, that all of that is a way to bring you happiness, right? Because as I said, nobody in their conscious, if we are conscious about our minds, in our conscious life, we're gonna decide to do something looking for happiness that will bring us suffering, right? It's just because we are mistaken in that view. We believe that doing this is going to keep us busy, so we don't need to think about what we actually want. We don't need to think about how our minds work. We don't need to think about how to deal with our own difficulties, right? We just keep ourselves busy, right? And that is one of the problems of our time and age. We are just keeping ourselves busy and we don't have space to deal with what is coming up, right? With what is actually bothering us. And normally, if we go a little bit, because we don't have the tools to deal, right? But now you do have tools. Now you can check and say, oh, wait a minute. I can start to analyze that this mind of like this is negative. It's disturbing myself. It's not a good mind. So I can start letting go of it. So you're going to start creating, the moment you start to understand that this busyness and this grasping for, like, you know, I'm a good person, I'm this, is slaving you into a mental state that you don't like, you're going to start to wanting to let it go. You don't need to change anything outside. Don't think about it. Don't shave your hair, become none, no need this, no need that, right? Actually, what we need is to change the perception, the way we see things. When I was working finance, I used to think like this as well, right? Was working 16, 17 hours a day, just like crazy. And then I decided I actually need to leave because I don't want that. I don't think that this is going to bring me happiness, you know? So I stayed until 6 months until I left. But I already had decided in my mind that I was going to leave. So actually the job only became a means, a way for me to be able to, you know, go and do this, go and do that, right? And a way for me to train and be nice to the people working with me. So then the job became great, right? Become so nice. It didn't become anymore a hindrance for my happiness, but became a path for my happiness. Does you understand what I mean? Because it's about you. It's the way you see it. It's your perception of it. It's your intention behind it. So you can see your job as a way for you to train how to be kind, how to be more relaxed. All of this, you can actually train that. Use exactly the same job, the same work, as a way of transformation. Right? But you need to have that understanding. You need to have those tools. So you need to nourish those tools in you so it can make strong, so everything you do in your life can be that idea. Does it make sense? Because that is the power of the mind. It's not in the work, it's not in the boss, it's not in the actions, it's actually the way you're seeing it. So the more you see it and say, well, actually this is not helping me, the way I'm disturbed like this. I'm not peaceful. I'm not relaxed. So may I relax. May I see it as a tool for me to develop kindness, love, compassion towards the people around me, the clients, right? And to myself. So I'm going to put boundaries and say, yes, very good. But Tuesdays, Mondays, I go to the Dharma center to do meditation, right? Like this. You start to choose things that are going to nourish you in a positive way. Not just allow yourself to just go into things that you know. That's what for me was when I was working, I started to see myself doing things that it was not helping me in any way. Drinking a lot because I was stressed, how to deal with the stress, right? How to deal with my dissatisfaction here, that pain, Oh, I'm drinking, partying, doing this, eating, working more and more. And I was like, I'm not actually, all of these things are not helping me. They're doing the opposite, right? They're creating that dissatisfaction more and more and more. So I need to change that, right? So then I started to see, Buddhism, meditation, they actually give me tools to let it go of these mental states that make me go towards those actions as source of happiness, as source of distress, but it's actually the opposite. They create more problems for me, and I can cultivate, a more peace of mind. I'm more calm, relaxed. When I'm in a meeting and everybody's just going crazy and I'm relaxed, I'm super well, right? And I can help others and say, yeah, it's okay, but maybe we don't need to go in this way. How about we think in this way? Because you have peace of mind, clarity, stability. So then you become better, you become more relaxed, and you can help others. Yeah, makes sense? Okay.
Also, in many of the jobs, there is a constant stress of targets.
Yes.
Everything.
Targets.
There is a consistent worry of what if we don't achieve it.
Yes.
Yes. Even though we have full confidence in our abilities, but the constant target is one goal which we need to achieve.
Yes.
Keep on thinking about it.
Yes.
What to do next.
Yes.
And work is a very important part of life. Not only as our family, everybody is dependent on our work also.
Yes.
How do we maintain calm with that chaos?
Yes.
The constant stress of target.
The constant stress of target and having to perform, having to, no?
And it's not because of us we want to perform, it is the liability, it is the obligation.
Yes, because if you don't do it, you lose your job, and then your family doesn't have like food, everything, right? Yes. This is very, very, very important, because it's important for us to understand that, if we are in a situation that we have those targets, we can choose. Well, now we can choose, because now we have tools. But before, we don't choose. We are just following, and we're believing that the target is the goal, right? But actually, we can achieve those targets in two ways. stress, anxiety, anger, desperation, or we can achieve in a peaceful, calm, relaxed, kind, loving way. And guess what? Harvard Business Review was saying that the kinder we are, the more compassionate we are, the better we perform. So, for me, especially, it's my experience, okay? Because when I came to the Buddhist world, Lama Zopa Rinpoche very kindly, he started to put me to be director of many centers, right? Because I had this background of finance and all of that. So I just brought that mindset of, of finance inside it. And I said, ooh, it's not working. It doesn't work, Why? Because it's not about that. It's about, Lama Yeshe used to say, it's not about what we do, but why and how we are doing things. So this is exactly the idea. It's not about you performing the task and actually achieving the goal. It's the mind behind and how. So if you want to do this so you can be kind, compassionate, and you can give a better life to your family and all of that, that creates a sense of kind of like, like purpose, right? But then you need to do it in a kind, compassionate way. Because you understand that actually, if you're suffering like this, all your colleagues are exactly the same. So you're going to either add to the pot of stress and anxiety, or you can be the one holding that warmth, that kindness, and then people are going to start seeing that. And then people are going to say, wow, that guy, even under all the stress, all the things, so calm, so nice, great, put him up the ladder, That's how it actually, because nobody wants to be around that selfish, angry, anxious person complaining all the time, blah, 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 But actually when we start to become calm, relaxed, and kind, then people want to be around us. So we start to change us first, the way we relate to the situation. Do you understand? Does it make sense what I'm saying? Yeah? That is the power of the mind. And by changing your view of it, right? Not as a kind of like ending goal, but as a tool for you to develop more kindness, love, compassion. So when someone comes and is getting angry at you, yes, great, right? Because now I can practice patience. Now I can practice compassion. You become happy, instead of now becoming a source of stress. It's like, oh, now good. Now I can practice. Then the more I practice patience, the more this person goes angry at me, and I become patient. Again, not without wisdom, not just letting the person, but actually understanding and happy, and then putting boundaries if you have to, saying things if you have to, but in a calm, compassionate way. The calmer you become, the more the habit of reacting in this way, less the habit of responding with anger and anxiety, right? The better it becomes, the easier it becomes, the better you make the environment, the better it becomes for you, for the people around you, everything. Then life, word, you change the world like this. Make sense? Yes? Good. Yes.
Adding on that,
Yes.
I was just thinking, say I'm applying for jobs and it was bothering me. I was like, why? The job won't bring me any happiness, so I just relax.
Yes.
How do I bring a balance that, this is not important?
Yes.
And how much should I decide how much to hustle as well? For example, you said the intention matters.
Yes.
Why? For example, there's an amazing organization doing amazing work. So, of course, the intention is nice that I want to help people.
Yes.
But then, how much of my effort should I put, like, from being very relaxed to being extremely...
Okay, so the first thing is that we need to be careful with what very, like, stress, and the opposite is not caring. Okay? Not caring is something very different. And I like it that you put it in this way, because normally that's how we go. We are extreme people, right? We think that is like, I need to go all in, or I don't care. And that's not really what it is, right? I don't care means it's almost like I'm angry and I'm like, I'm having aversion to actually having the possibility of being frustrated if that doesn't happen. That's what normally is, isn't it? Think about it, It's like you're putting yourself safe to say, no. It's like, I don't care, so, it doesn't hurt me, That is the way. You're kind of like creating a barrier to say, I don't have this, I don't care. But that's not really what we are talking about. Like understanding that you can create the causes within yourself, the intention within yourself, right? to actually help, to do the job and all of that, but you don't have control of the external things. But as I was telling our friend here, if you become a more relaxed, kind, loving, that influences the result of your actions, right? So the more you actually develop and say, well, I'm going to develop this, I'm going to apply for this job because I want to, be able to fulfill my time and my energy, my life into something that is going to help others, right? And I'm going to do that because, I think that helping others is a path for really developing the world, developing myself. Then it becomes something different, right? It's not about the job, like being kind of like the status of the job, or the kind of like the career and the money, and it's not about that, right? It's about the job itself. So the more you do that, the easier it becomes, the kinder, the more soft, right? It's very important that we understand it's not about repressing our wishes. Is understanding that the way we are wishing it, of like having the job, if it is just for myself, my own purpose, my own status, my own kind of like, idea of myself, my only that, it's not going to bring us happiness. It doesn't matter. Why? Because your mind is going to create another thing for you to be, another status, another job, another person, another this. Always. Remember drinking salty water is like that. That mind is a mind of attachment. A mind that is always looking for something else. More. So, but if you transform it with a positive intention, you let it go of that mindset, you see that this mindset not your friend, no good, disturbed, let it go. And you start to see and say, oh, wait a minute. I can actually use this to practice patience, love, compassion. This job gives me money so I can go to retreat, and I can do this, and I can like nourish myself. Or this job, which nowadays many people are developing, makes me work from home. And then when I work from home, I can have more time to do my practice or to do these, the things that actually make me more relaxed, right? Then it becomes positive. Then the intention is different, right? Then the intention is to improve yourself, to be a better human being. Does it make sense? So then the way you're going to approach that job is with that intention. And then if the causes are not there, you think, okay, what do I need to do to actually create the causes to have that job? Then you ask, I'm very happy that I understand that you didn't kind of like pick me. Can you help me? What do you think I can improve? Because you don't have that ego hurt and feeling, the Bollywood drama, right? They don't love me, I'm bad, Actually, you see that opportunity as opportunity to improve, to develop. Only if you have that open mind. If you don't have it, everything becomes personal, right? I'm bad, I'm this, I need to do. Then the mind narrow. But then when you start to think, okay, so that happened, what can I do? Does it make sense? Yeah, that's the idea.
There's a constant, in our thought processes, there's a constant churn. We make ourselves positive, but after some time, we get negative things somehow, and it is very difficult to come out of this negativity and make positive.
Yes.
Why it happens, and what can we do about it?
Yes.
Keep coming out of this negativity.
Yes, I understand. It is true because we are habituated. The mind is habituated with these negative thoughts, right? That's normally what happens to us, is that we are constantly habituating ourselves in going into this negative, right? In this negative self-talk, in this negative emotion, in this negative way, right? Because two things mainly. We don't see the negative way of understanding, right, as negative. We believe that this is kind of like positive, right? We believe that, okay, if I think like this, I'm going to help or anything. I don't see as negative. And we don't see the positive that we have, the possibility of positiveness that we have, right? We can develop our minds in positive ways. Because when we are in that moment of negativity, we forget that we were positive, that we were having a good time, right? We see it as permanent. almost that moment, you know. Wow, it's like this and I'm horrible. It's horrible. Like the mind becomes very in the negative. No. So we need to help ourselves to get out of it. See the patterns, the signs to say, you know, oh, this doesn't help. So we can start shifting and transforming it. Does it make sense? So first we need to see the negative as negative. Otherwise, we're just going to continue engaging into it. And then slowly training the mind in seeing that, oh, wait a minute, it's not true. I also did good things. Oh, that also happened good, you know. Self-talking in a positive way first, just to change that mental state that is just completely crazy dominating us, right? So that is the idea. It's like we start to see, and the more we do it, the easier it becomes. And the more the positive aspects become stronger, and more, you know, longer and longer. And then, yes, we still have negative aspect, but then we can bring them back. It's easier to bring them back. You know, I forgot your name. Gogo? Gogo was saying to me, oh, what Buddhism actually brought to me is that, well, now I still get angry, but, you know, it's shorter. You know, I don't get angry during a month anymore, you know, a week or something. I get, you know, anger a few hours. That is it, you know? Because normally sometimes when we go down, we go really down. And then we stay sometimes days, you know, oh, poor me, oh, life is bad, you know? Not helping anything. So when we start to actually see these negatives and say, I don't need to, don't give attention, you know? Don't give attention because they are negative, not because you're repressing them, because you understand that they are not helpful, because they understand that they are not creating, you know, what you want. So let them go. Like the clouds in the sky, just let them go, right? And then you remember the positive ones and say, wait a minute, but I also did good things. I also did nice things. I also did that. I'm also kind. I'm also loving. I'm also, like, you know, patient. I'm also a good friend. I'm also you start to see this. And then lifts up, and then you take a decision. You know, I always say, when you are in this down phase of mind, never take big decisions. Try to bring, you know, the mind a little bit up, see things a little bit less negative, and then, you know, make decisions, right? So that's a bit the idea. Yes?
Slight digression, but you spoke about how emotions.
Thank you.
How emotions change your, say, bodily sensations, how you feel, right? And the opposite is also probably true, right?
Yes.
Sometimes certain sensations can disturb the mind. For example,
Yes.
Physical anxiety, heaviness and stress. Sometimes there are no
Yes.
thoughts, like I tried observing through my
Yes.
mind. It was nothing. But those sensations were then disturbed so much that it's difficult to carry on at times.
Yes.
How do you suggest dealing with them?
Well, I'm a very big fan of body work, you know, because I feel that if we are living in a time that we are constantly on a fight and flight mode, right? So the body is constantly in this, and sometimes if we don't actually develop that calmness of the body, it's going to be very hard to actually calm the mind, right? So I feel that actually developing ways to decompress the body, and you can use breathing exercise, you can use exercise just like yoga, or even going to the gym, or, you know, running and things like that. Whatever helps to actually create, literally exchanging the body, the cortisol to more kind of like positive endorphins and things like that, right? Just to relax the body, then the mind becomes suitable, you know? Because if the mind and the body are just too shaken, it's just going to be too complicated, honestly. It's really, it's something that I feel sometimes Buddhism doesn't talk so much, but I feel is very important. Because if the body is too shaken, you know, it's going to be hard for you to actually sit down and meditate. People can't, right? People say, there's meditate. You know, if you're just constantly, normally people, you know, I'm giving a lot of meditation classes as well, and people normally they fall asleep because the moment that the body is starting to relax, and they've mixed relaxing with tiredness, right? Because they are not sleeping well, they're all that, so they just shut up, like, you know. And I think it's okay, but actually meditation is a very active thing. It's a transformation of the mind. You know, so people think, oh yes, I'm going to meditate because I sleep well, you know. That's very good, but you can actually go to the beach, you have a massage, you know, all of these also makes you sleep well, right? Do exercise, eat well. So stop looking at the screens, you know, until 3 in the morning, you know. So that is what we can actually develop. So that's the body needs to be a focus. One of my teachers, Kandrila Rinpoche, she always says that, she says, you know, that we think sometimes is about forgetting the body and just thinking about the mind and forgetting the external conditions. Actually, we should use the body and the external conditions as factors, right? To help us develop a good mind. So yes, you know, if you still need good food, you need, you know, some rest, you need exercise, you need vitamins, use that, right? So then, but don't indulge too much, thinking that this is going to bring the happiness, right? Because that sometimes happens. Oh, if I don't go to the gym every day, I'm not happy, right? So we go to, again, we are extreme people, so we go to the other extreme. So just find the balance of like, oh yeah, okay, I can find it, I can see, I'm relaxed. Let me start now meditating, listening to some talks, coming to Tushita, you know? You start to do like this. And then you start to feel, that's good. Yeah? Now I have the balance. Now I do that, right? But remembering that you don't have to. I always say, if the mind is saying, I have to, I need to, I should, there's tightness there. So try to relax the tightness, and then you can meditate, then you can listen to Dharma talks, like that. Yes? Yes. And then I think we need to stop, no? Yes? Okay.
Unless anybody
I have.
has
Yes. Yes, go on.
No, just making it an extreme example. Sometimes body work, breathing, that doesn't help quickly. It takes months. Sometimes in extreme mental health illness, you probably need to go to a doctor. And I don't know how. Yeah.
Yes, I think that of course there is, as we say, physiological kind of like, you know, mental health. I'm not saying that mental health is only in the mind. My mom's a psychiatrist, so I know exactly how it goes. So there is a chemical component sometimes. However, okay, I think, and my experience has been that if we treat the body, as I'm saying, and we start to treat the mind, you know, with those trainings of the mind, it really helps, right? It is a long-term thing, yes, because there's no quick fix. There's no, like, you know, drug that you just take and everything goes away. Because that, unfortunately, is the way that we are treating mental health, right? You take a little bit. I gave on, what day is today? Saturday. Last Friday there was a group. I was in the center in Brazil, and there was a school visit. 16, 17-year-old kids. Very nice, you know? That moment of like deciding university and what they're going to study. And 3 of them taking pills already, you know? And I was a bit like, wow. And I said, why is that? And because of that. Because of, they're so anxious that they just want to stop it, you know? Immediately, you know? And I said, sometimes, yes, it can be. As I say to people, so for example, if you're too angry or something like this, people say, just meditate. Forget about it, you know, you're not going to be able to meditate. I sometimes say, even for monks, for my monk friends that, you know, we say we have vows to not watch movies or things like that. But I say, actually sometimes go watch a movie to distract the mind. Make the mind less angry so you can actually then practice Dharma. You know, when you have a mind a little bit more relaxed, then you can actually practice. Because if the mind is, oh, I shouldn't be thinking that, then horrible, right? You're forcing yourself. So I'm not saying don't engage with the emotion. Don't, you know, punch someone or those crazy things that people say, oh, punch a pillow or screen. No, this is bad, right? Because you're engaging into the emotion. So you're creating the habit of the emotion. But if you need to do something to distract a little bit the mind, calm a little bit the mind, then you have the mind a little bit, like, you know, better to actually deal with it. So then exercise, breathing, reading, doing something positive, right? Then that's good. And especially when you go and, you know, watch a movie or listen to some music, do something that is going to bring you up. lift you up, like, positive mental state, like nice documentaries about the mind, about this, about something that inspires you, right? Don't just waste your time in Netflix, like, watching blah, 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 1, 2, 3, and then you become like a zombie, not like this, right? But actually helping you to develop like, oh, okay, this helps, I have this group coming, we're going to do some pilgrimage, and then I put His Holiness has this Spotify audio, with the mantras and all of that. And I say, if you guys are waiting in the airport, at least listen to something like this, right? To actually calm the mind. Oh, something happened, oh, there was a delay flight, all of that. Okay, just calm the mind, right? So use whatever is there as a tool to help you. Does it make sense? Yes? You had a question?
Yes. So for somebody who has had a long history of mental illness and just got diagnosed, and just finding tools to understand that, how do you understand your own emotions, and how do you actually progress also in life,
Yes.
in professional world, because for many years you didn't even know that you had a disorder, and then once you understand that, how can you cater to the issues, and how can you actually progress in your life, the realistic progress.
Yes, absolutely. I always say that, and Buddhism is exactly like that. It's like, the Buddha taught what we call the first teachings of the Buddha, and then he said, actually, we need to understand suffering, and then we need to look for the cause of it. If we don't have the cause, it's like we go to a doctor, and then they're like, oh yes, you are in pain. And? No? And then they say, oh, you're in pain because of that. Now that I understand, then I can find the solution, the medicine, right? So finding, like as you said, now you know that you have that, great. Now you can work with it. That's very important, because now you can actually have the knowledge and the wisdom to develop what you need in order to control, to use that mental state that you have, that mental problem, as a tool, not as a bad thing, not as a hindrance, but actually now you have, I know that if I do this in this way, that happens, right? I can understand that if I don't take medicine, or if I don't do therapy, or if I go into this mental state, or if I, put too many things in my day, I become too much. Okay, so I'm just not gonna do it, right? So you just start to become wise in your own knowing your own mind and your own limitations. That makes you weak, worse. Actually, the opposite. The more you know about yourself, the best you can perform, the best you can actually work, right? Because that is the problem. When we don't know ourselves, what happens? We think we know, we think we can, we think we do it, and then guess what? Burnout, and then we get distress and all of that, right? So the more actually I know, I say, actually this, I know already. It's not going to help me. So knowing that, best thing. So now you have, you have the knowledge, you use. However, again, let's pay attention to not go to the other extreme. Oh, poor me. Oh, I'm like this. Victimizing, right? All of these mental states are selfish mental states. It's all about me, right? We think that pride is just like, how I'm the best one of everything. But we can be proud of being the worst one. Oh, no, I understand. Yeah, you have a lot of problems, but me, much worse than you, right? It's like, oh, no, I suffer much more. Exactly like pride, right? But with negative emotions. So pride is a very kind of like tricky mind. We need to think. And even depression. It's hard when I talk about depression, because depression is a selfish mental state, right? Anger is when we don't get what we want, right? And we project then the responsibility of us not having what we want outside is someone's fault, or internally, it's my fault. I'm not good enough, I'm not nice, I'm not this. And we start to get that anger towards myself, And then I start to believe in that. And for more and more and more, that goes my self-esteem. I don't believe I can change. I don't believe I have anything good. And then I just go down, 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 believing in that, right? That becomes depression. So that is completely anger towards myself. Very selfish mindset in a way. So then we need to say, well, yes, I did like this, I have that, but I also have good things. That person also is suffering, so why cannot help? I have so many things like that. You start to self-talk and really transforming that anger and say, wait a minute, like engaging these mental states doesn't help me at all. Why I listen to this? No, I don't have to. Because now I know that if I do, I become like this. So I don't want to. It's a choice. You take responsibility and then do something about it. Does it make sense? Yes? Okay. Okay, everybody, I think enough of blah, blah, blah. You guys are already sleeping, People already left as well. So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming. Exactly, that is true. They didn't. So thank you so much for coming here. Also the online people, thank you so much for being here, listening to this. Thank you for being, here at the center and coming all the way here, and then doing, like trying and wanting to develop your mind and open your hearts. That's the best. Don't forget that. Okay, that's the most important. Don't forget to wanting to develop your good heart. You can do it. Also, don't forget that. And then you just go slowly. And then if you want, to continue, because also just listening one time to blah, 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 maybe not enough, then just come here. We have so many activities, such a nice place, such an important place to have in this time and age, right? A place where we can come together, listen, meet people, share this. So important, right? So please always come, whatever you can do online if it is too much, but if you can come, then, then you start to develop that. That is what I talk about, sometimes go to the gym, sometimes go to the meditation center, sometimes go to the Buddhism center. That's good balance, okay? That's a good idea. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much, Venerable.
Thank you
And,
so much.
When are you passing through Delhi again?
That's very kind. I will come more. And
Okay.
I'm offering this to the center.
No,
Yes, because the center has been so kind to me, so I'm offering it back to the center so the center can continue its activities. And, especially Lamas of Rinpoche was so kind, always talking about Tushita Delhi, so nice, so nice. So for it to continue, okay? So this is for you. You give to me, now I can give to anyone I want, and I want to give back to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, online people. Thank you. Thank you.
Please come back
Good night.
again, even if it's online.
Yes, I will. I will do it. I will do it. Definitely. If Nico wants, I come back.
Of course.
Nico is the boss. Nico is the boss.